covering all 4 major sports in the District of Champions. It's the DC Crossover Podcast with your hosts, Mike Cerrone and Ben Simpson.
Hello and welcome to episode 155 of the DC Crossover. I'm Ben Simpson. That's Mike Cerrone. Glad to be back after a couple weeks of NFL action. 2 wins for the Commanders. Definitely going to be talking about that crazy Denver game and get into a lot more, of course, college football going. We got our Survivor pool going, our year-long sweats. AFC not looking so hot. NFC looking okay. But who knows? There's still so much season left to go. So who the hell knows? But yeah, Mike. I mean, I know that one of the things that you were struggling with heading into the season was this whole like, how the hell are you going to be able to watch these games?
Right.
Because of the move over to YouTube TV, and then you got to like pay for that. See, as I said on the show, like, I already cut cable and moved over to YouTube TV, so it was an easy transition for me, but I know you use Hulu, right, for live sports, so it's like you can't get Hulu and YouTube TV just to watch NFL. Like, it just was becoming an issue.
Yeah, so the biggest thing about the watching experience, me and Jess actually got Hulu TV, and we love it. It's actually really good. It actually works really well, and just in general, it is a good experience to watch TV on. It's very pleasant, I guess you could say.
Pleasant.
So I was going to say plausible, but that doesn't make any sense. It's been a long day, man. A long day. I was out in the tornadoes today. It was just, and people were like, "Oh, it's a great day," and I was like, "Yeah, it's a great day when you're walking to your car, and then all of a sudden you get in, you're like, oh, it's beautiful outside,
right?"
And then all of a sudden, like, they didn't realize that it was like a tornado outside, and I have like wind burn on my face, and it feels gross. Anyways, so moving on.
He's really happy tonight, everybody.
Yeah, just grumpy. So moving on to YouTube. So, of course, Jess is a Steelers fan, and so her obviously her family and her brother-in-law and her sister, and they live out in Indiana. So I said, hey, I'll fork over $100 so you guys don't have to do the struggle of finding a stream and doing all that bit. So they ended up finally doing it, and they kind of like bit the bullet and said, all right, let's do it. And it's actually kind of awesome. Not gonna lie. I mean, red zone plus the other stuff. I mean, it's
that's what
money,
I got.
dude.
It's great. I mean, it's the way I've been doing it is, well, when the Lions are on, I like to definitely have them on the main screen, like watching them full on the full screen. But we had Abby's brother and his girlfriend over, and so like since they're all not Lions fans, I'm not going to subject everyone in the room just to watch the Lions. So I was doing the quad box, the 4 screens, and I think the way to go about that is you do 3 screens, whatever the best games are, and then you do the 4th screen red zone, and then that way, if the other games are on commercials or whatever, you just move over to that box. You're good to go. Audio-wise, you're watching Red Zone. Because, man, I know this isn't new. Red Zone's been around forever. But, man, it's just so great, isn't it? It really is. No commercials, all football. It's the best.
The cool thing about it is that I love when they go to commercial and they're like, hey, enjoy this zen of a waterfall and like a frog
for YouTube?
jumping.
Yeah. YouTube. No,
like,
I like
I'm like,
it a lot.
whoa, all right, look at that. That's pretty neat. It's kind of weird when you try to explain it to other people because you're like, hey, yeah, they do this zen thing. And
I know exactly what you're
talking about.
Yeah, no, they usually, it's like a nice shot of the ocean, or like it's a dog like playing in a field or something. No, it's solid. No, I loved it. I mean, I've had YouTube TV now for a little while, and I love everything about it. Now, they're not a sponsor of the show, so we're not going to talk too much about them, but I will say the game day watching experience, the one knock on YouTube TV, of course, and what everyone's been talking about with college football as well, is the fact that with the multi-view, you can't just choose, I want to watch these 4 games. You have to go through a cycle of options and then find the one that you like, which is annoying, where I'd love to just be like, all right, these are the 4 games I want to watch. I guess you can't do it that way for some reason. It's really more annoying in college football because, like, they'll give me, like, an option, and it's like, okay, pretty good game. Then it'll be, like, Western Illinois against, like, Northern Kentucky. It's like, why would I want to watch that game? I don't, it's kind of stupid. But for the most part, I'd say it's been a pretty good product, at least through the first couple weeks.
Well, what's funny is that getting Hulu TV, we actually got ESPN Plus with that. So when college basketball's around, with college basketball's around, I'm sitting there and I'm betting on like those type of games where you, like you
Yeah.
said, Northern Kentucky versus the Citadel or something like that. And I mean that's what happens when you're a degenerate gambler. But at the same time, like you're sitting there and I'm like betting on this game, so I'm like flipping through, and then I see like a gym of like 57 people that are there. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of fun watching that, but it's very nerve wracking. But
oh yeah, you throw in some like BCS game. I mean, like you throw in like some of the lower league like college football games or whatever. Like those, sometimes those get a little dicey because you're like, I don't know if any of these teams are any good, but I'm just gonna bet on them.
Yeah, you don't want that. What was that Bishop Sycamore or whatever? You don't want one of those situations.
Yeah,
so
that's for sure.
Overall, the YouTube purchase was, I mean, now it's a boatload of money. I mean, what's the point? Like literally, you're really making enough money off of it as it is. Why are you going to put it up to that amount of money? But like I said, I forked over $100 because I get to watch it too, so I'm not really gonna fret over that. But at the same time, it's pretty sick. But going along with the viewing experience, so I saw this TikTok on the talk while I was posting stuff the other day, and it was a blind rating of places to watch sports. And I wanted to read it off to you and have you write down 1 through 5. Again, it's blind rating. So if the last one is the best one and you have number 4 open still, then that's where it goes. So the first one.
How many are there in total? 5?
5.
Okay.
Cinco.
All right,
Cinco.
I got my 1 through 5. I got my notepad here.
Cinq in French.
Yeah, I didn't learn that.
All right, here we go. So the first one is sports bar.
Okay, sports bar. So I think this will be pretty common. I'm gonna probably put it in the upper half of the 5. Okay. I'll put sports, even though I'm gonna put sports bar at 3. I'll put that at 2. I feel like there might be something above that. Or no, I'm gonna go 3. Sorry, sports bar 3.
Okay. Yeah, that's a safe play. All right. The next one is at the stadium.
So this is, I feel like, so for me, it's funny. If it's me personally, I mean, I'd rather just watch at home, but I feel like at the stadium is it better than being at the sports bar. You got to probably put that just at number 2 at the stadium.
Okay. Yeah. So the next one is rich friend's house.
Ooh. Now, this is interesting because you got to factor in.
Let me paint this picture for you. Yeah. So there was a neighbor that my buddy used to have. Yeah. He used to play for the Phillies, or at least maybe he had a customized jersey. I thought he played for the Phillies. I don't know. And he actually had a huge projector, poker tables, a pool table, full fridge, and also he had TVs all around. Like he had like 50-inch TVs everywhere.
That's the
so
best.
It was like you walk to the bathroom and you're watching the game on the way.
Yeah, well, if that in that situation, like I feel like it's a contender for number 1 here. Okay. For me, I'll just go with it. Rich friend's house, but then I'm worried about these next couple ones. But I'm gonna go rich friend's house. Yeah.
Number 4 would be on a plane.
Oh, okay, that's gonna be number 5. A plane. Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, I remember.
The only exception would be like when everybody's watching the Super Bowl all at the same time. Like that's kind of cool. What was the picture from? Was it last year's Super Bowl where it's like everyone's watching it, and then like there's one TV showing like Lord of the Rings in the picture or something? Like that was a great one.
Well, that's always like whenever I go to like Glory Days or something like that. There's always like one Cartoon Network on.
Right.
And you're like, no one's watching
Who's
this.
Here? Yeah. Just the one kid in the corner, the orphan.
the orphan.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So the last one is your own home.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with these rankings. So I have number 1, rich friend's house. Number 2 at the stadium. Number 3, sports bar. 4 at your own home. 5 on a plane. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy. Maybe I would have switched 3 and 4 if I had another go at it. But yeah, I'm happy with these rankings.
Well, here's the thing: is on the plane. So I did watch one time the NBA championship. I think it was like the second iteration or whatever it was of the Warriors and the Cavs, because I remember playing poker in Vegas.
Yeah,
and I was watching it while I was playing poker. But this time I was, flying home from Vegas, and I ended up watching the entire game. So like the flight flew by. It was actually pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. But on the plane sucks though in general.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, like watching live sports on the plane is better than watching like some random movie that you barely have any access. I mean, like like because they usually give you a limited amount of movies you can watch if you're using whatever the Delta app is or whatever.
Right.
I mean, that's your best scenario as far as something to watch is, an NBA Finals or something like that. But still, you got. I feel like that experience is also very dependent on who's sitting next to you, what's around you, like where you're sitting, how long the flight is. There's a lot of factors there, so it's definitely at the bottom. I'm pretty pleased with the positioning here.
So sure. I have to tell you a story from a friend that is getting into the gambling scene.
Okay.
So before we get into the entire show here,
sure,
this is a friend who I would say he's somewhat smart for the most part.
Somewhat.
Now, when I say somewhat, I mean in certain areas. And he is a big, huge Real Madrid fan. So I got him into DraftKings and all that stuff, used my own code and everything like that. He got a $100 free bet because that's what he deposited. So the $100 free bet was a legit $100. So the big thing about this is, if you do a $100 free bet, you want to try to get some cash out of it.
Yeah.
The first no that he did was he bet on Real Madrid, the basketball team, on accident.
That's great.
And he ended up
funny.
betting on that team. And I don't know why he wasn't paying attention, but the problem was it was like minus 390. So like the odds were like nothing.
Right. So I think that team's actually pretty good. I feel like
I think so.
Yeah.
Barcelona and stuff like that, they're pretty damn good. So I started laughing because I'm like,
oh my God.
Jesus, dude, like what are you doing? I mean, come on now. So he won like $26 from a free $100 bet. Now, granted, it's more than me because that's just I went a little bit too heavy, but at the same time, when you look at it, he did that. And then the biggest no was he ended up doing this boost where he basically got $200 extra if he deposited $500 by opting in, and he got an extra $200, which is 8 $25 bets. So then all of a sudden, like, he ended up betting on like another heavy favorite. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? like they're giving you all this free money, and he thought that if you bet the $25 free, you're automatically going to get that $25 free with the winnings. And I said, dude, that's not how it works, man. That's not how it works. So I had to tell you that story because I thought it was funny that he did a few no-nos this past weekend and wasted all these free bets that he has. And that's the friend that's texting me right now, asking me what my sweat is for tonight. Which, by the way, he's also
got the bug. He's got that.
He keeps asking me though. He keeps asking me like, how many sweats are you doing? I'm like, no, dude. I'm just telling you that like I got a sweat in tonight.
Does he understand what a sweat is?
I don't think so because he keeps saying, "Oh yeah, I do. I understand what it is," and I'm like, "No, you don't, dude.
Like not everything is a sweat. Just because you placed a bet doesn't make it a sweat."
Yeah, if I call it a sweat, that's just a sweat. But if it's like it's the guy's. He's out there. He's a space cadet sometimes. So there you go.
I mean, that's I will say, like, yeah, that's wild. I can't even imagine, like, being brand new into this this little world of ours that we're, this, as you mentioned, this degenerate world that we have here. It's like, that's a little nerve wracking. But man. Yeah, that's the one nice thing about like this big rise in sports gambling is like a lot of these betting services will now do like free free parlay, free $5 bet, all this sort of stuff.
Yep.
Which is nice because for guys like you and I, it's like, all right, perfect. This is easy free money.
Seriously,
except for this past weekend, which just stunk betting wise.
Not a great day.
Let's get into a little bit of the Commander talk here. Because it's definitely worth talking about. You and I, last episode, we're kind of going over our expectations for the team and things like that. And obviously a lot still needs to happen. But, I mean, you can't imagine, literally, you can't imagine a better start for this team being 2-0. You win a nice game on the road in Denver. A game that really Denver had no business losing. Especially after the way they looked in that first quarter.
Oh, yeah.
I thought this was going to be like, oh, we're screwed. This is going to be easy loss. It literally, I don't know it just, I mean, Forbes was getting beat left and right on some of those long balls. I mean, Mims had like 2 giant gains early on. It looked like it was going to be a disaster. You look at the second half and like the rest of the game from that point forward, and suddenly this team's balling. I mean, Howell was incredible. I mean, you really have to hand it to him. Almost at 300 yards, 299 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Brian Robinson with a solid game. The run game was definitely more there, like in the second half than it was in the first half. And then, a couple big plays from McLaurin. But then, honestly, Forbes, who had a rough first quarter or so, looked great the rest of the way. I mean, he had a solid day for the rookie. You had, obviously, the line doing their thing and Payne getting some sacks and things like that. You had Sweat get a sack and a half, Chase Young in his return. So, while the ending was crazy, obviously, with the Hail Mary and things like that, at the same time, I mean, a win's a win. A win on the road is a win. And to send Russell Wilson now to be 0-2, him and Sean Payton now to be 0-2 to start the year, it feels great. It feels very good.
Yeah, seriously. And I mean, if you look at it, there was a 96 plus percentage of probability that the Denver Broncos were going to win at 21-3. So you never know, because the problem is that they were so far ahead to the point where everyone's like, oh, whatever, this game's done, this and that, whatever. But the difference is that Russell Wilson, we have to say it, Russell Wilson is not who he was before.
Bad.
I mean, he's just fallen off a cliff. I mean, you look at it and say, what happened to this dude? This dude went from a perennial, superstar to all of a sudden he's like Peyton Manning in his final year. And I hate to say it because I love Peyton, but you're looking at it and saying, what has happened to this dude? Like, like, you just don't get it. Because the funny thing is I saw on Twitter and all these different things, like people saying, oh yeah, Russell Wilson did this in the first quarter and this and that, whatever. And all of a sudden people are like, well, what did he do in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the game, it was a disaster. I mean, the play calling was a disaster. That offense was a disaster. I mean, they fell apart. I mean, you want to watch a team completely implode, and they made it close to the end, sure. But for the most part, that was a complete and utter implosion from Denver, which is just crazy because, you put together 2 Hall of Famers and Russ and Peyton and nothing there. I mean, in that second half, it's crazy. But, I mean, I think the big thing is I think you got to hand it to Sam Howell. This is a guy it's obviously his 3rd start in the league. For a guy, he did not necessarily look like a guy who was only making his 3rd start. I mean, he obviously, again, early on, it was a little rough because they had him passing way too much. I think he had 20-something passes in like the first quarter or so, and it was like, okay, this is a little too much. But once they got the run game in the mix, then suddenly, it opened things up for him to finish 27-39. It's a really solid day. Again, no picks on the day, a couple TDs. And, I think so far through the first couple games, I feel like we got to be pretty impressed, right? I mean, he's looked pretty solid through so far down the year. 501 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. He did have that 1 pick in week 1. But overall, I think he's 20th in QBR, it looks like. But, I mean, at the end of the day, they're 2-0. So that's really what matters.
Right, and that's the thing is people thought that Denver was going to take this one, which I did too. Personally, I did pick the Commanders to win, but I thought honestly that we would actually have a shot. And the thing about it is when you're looking at the Denver Broncos, they just aren't the team that everyone thinks they are, because you also think about Sam Howell and what he brings to the table, and he brings that guts, he brings that that tenacity. He doesn't bring a lot of glamour, to say the least, but when you're thinking about it, this is the type of performance where you knew that he had a shot, coming in. You knew that this guy was going to go out there and ball out in the second half and try to do what he could, because I remember seeing and hearing about Terry McLaurin and that he was possibly hurt and different things like that over the last few weeks. But, I will say, and I do have a gripe to pick, they didn't barely throw to Jahan Dotson at all in the second half.
Yeah.
And that was one of my bets, which really another tilt city there. But at the same time, you're looking at it and saying that this team, they just have that it factor right now. And I'm not going to say that they're going to be a perennial powerhouse coming to the playoffs and all that kind of stuff, but you have to look at the game and honestly dissect what actually happened, because if you look at the time of possession was great. When obviously you're looking at his QBR wasn't the best, but his rating was pretty solid. And then you're looking at the time of possession where they I guess, I don't know, what do you want to call it, outgained or whatever the phrase is for time of possession by a lot. I mean, by total minutes. I mean, you're looking at it and saying that, let's see, where is it? I'm missing it. My computer's doing
33 to 26.
There you go. Yeah. So almost 7 minutes or so, and then another 5 first downs, no turnovers.
No turnovers. Yeah, that's a big one.
Just in general, you're saying that Sam Howell is that guy that's going to come out there and go, pedal to the metal and basically try to lead this team to the promised land, which is trying to make the playoffs first. And again, this is baby steps for the Commanders. It has to be baby steps, because you don't really go into a season like this where you have 17 million quarterbacks who have started in the last decade, and then all of a sudden you have Sam Howell in here as a 5th-round pick, and you're like, okay, what do we really have here? What's going to happen in this season that's going to be a positive, not just to say, oh, yeah, he's going to start next season, but more so is, oh, what's his future like? What is he going to progress into? And right now, for me personally, I think that he's progressed enough for people to start realizing, like, okay, he's got enough moxie that he can go out there and try to lead this team. He's got enough running ability to go out there and gain a few yards, maybe extend some drives here and there. But for me personally, it's something that I'm not going to sit there and say, hit a home run with Sam Howell in the 5th round. But at the same time, it's something that you have to look that's a positive, and something that you have to see as a, hey, we scored 35 points and they weren't defensive or anything like that. And the funny thing about it is we don't score 35 points ever. No. So I think that right now, him at the helm is a great move, and Bieniemy going out there, playing the way calling coaches, or I can't even talk, calling plays the way he's calling plays, taking deep shots here and there, getting the ball out of his hand quickly. I think right now it's going to work out pretty well for the future. Now, he's going to take his lumps. We all know that. He's going to take his lumps, wait until the Cowboys and so on and so forth come through. But right now, it's looking pretty damn solid for Sam Howell.
I mean, did this team even put up 35 points last year in any game? Looks like, all right, I'm looking at last year, 28, 27, 24, or 8, 10. I mean,
I don't think so.
They put up 32 against the Eagles in that win in November, but that is it. So, yeah, no, they didn't put up 35 points at all last year. So, to get that type of production in week 2 on the road in Denver, that's pretty impressive. I mean, you said, I think with Howell, it's like all this guy has to do is just be good enough. Just be good enough. You don't have to be the superstar, but you just have to be good enough to win. And that's what, I remember you and I on this podcast talking about Alex Smith in that type of way back when, this team was looking pretty solid with him at the helm. Was Alex Smith was throwing 200-something yards, maybe 1 touchdown, maybe 2 in a game.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't really throw many picks, and he did enough to win. And you look at this team. I mean, you've got a solid, steady quarterback. You got Brian Robinson, who's having a great year so far in the run game. I mean, he's been running pretty well. Obviously, he doesn't have a run game over 100 yards yet, but still, he's getting some of the production there. He broke out for that 27-yarder during the game. And then you've got your air attack and McLaurin and who else? I don't know really. I mean, you had Logan Thomas, who looked pretty good until he got his head bashed in.
Decapitated.
That was insane. Bates did an okay job filling in for him, I guess, except for that drop. Oh, God, that one drop was insane. But yeah, hopefully in theory you'd have Dotson doing well, and then you throw in a pass to Brown every now and then. So I guess that's really my only question mark, I guess, is obviously we know Scary Terry's going to get the job done, but it is going to be interesting to see who every week is going to be that number 2 guy in the receiving core. Is it going to always be Logan Thomas? Is it going to be a Dotson? Is it going to be, Antonio Gibson catching passes in the flat or whatever? I don't know. That's one of my other question marks. But defensively, this team looked pretty good. I mean, you got to love 7 sacks on the day. I mean, that's a solid day. The return of our guy Chase Young. which he looked pretty good. He did have that one awful encroachment penalty or whatever late in the game where it was like he was. I watched it again this morning. It was like he was like blaming the other team, saying they jumped, and it was like, dude, I'm watching the replay. Like, you're the only guy that moved. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
But that might have just been some of the rust, getting some of the rust off. But he still looked pretty good. I mean, when this line has all those guys playing, Payne, Sweat, Allen, Chase Young. I mean, when all those guys are playing, like this is one of the better lines in football. I mean, if not, a top 5 line. I mean, it's got to be.
I have to say, I am really impressed with the secondary of how it's held up. Now, obviously, they got torched, early on. But you're looking at it and saying, last week, 9 points, not bad at all. Red zone defense is pretty solid. And then this week, a little bit tougher opponent. And I had someone say, like, oh, yeah, they won by barely any points to the worst 2 teams in the league. And I said, Denver's not one of the worst teams in the league.
No.
They have one of the best, probably Hall of Fame coach, that's going to be on the Hall of Fame at some point. And not to mention that they have Peyton, or not Peyton. They have
Peyton Manning.
They have Peyton Manning, Russell Wilson, and Jerry Jeudy, and Patrick Surtain. And all
they have weapons.
They're just a Commander's hater because they're an Eagles fan or whatever the hell they are. And I'm like, just kick rocks down the road, bud. Like, just whatever. But you're looking at, like you said, Montez Sweat, another sack and a half. Second half for Chase Young, as you said, 2 QB hits for whoever the hell Cody Barton is. Never heard of that guy in my life. I'm like, I was like, who the hell is that? Jamin Davis, Chase Young, Casey Toohill, like they're all getting QB hits, which is awesome. Montez Sweat with 3. So overall, you're looking at it and saying we can't dissect this game too much because it was kind of a fluky thing. And honestly, if you think about it, they shouldn't even scored 33 points because that last 6 at the end. So there should be 27. So honestly, you're looking at it, which, by the way, I had a feeling that whole entire thing was going to be an issue. So that was my worry because honestly, when you saw it happen, I was like, oh man, a lot of our guys are in the front. And I was like, uh-oh. And then all of a sudden it hit, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. So, yeah. But overall, you can't really dissect it too much. But again.
But that's what you said. I mean, it's a fluky thing because that wasn't going to be a close game. I mean, it was going to be relatively close within a touchdown or whatever. But 9 times out of 10, that pass doesn't get through. Like, it doesn't end up in the hands of Denver. So, like, yeah, it got close at the end. And then you got the people complaining, like, oh, there was should have been pass interference at the end of the game. And it's like, you watch any NFL game across the board, and like they're pretty much never throwing a flag on the last play of the game. It just doesn't happen for the most part. I mean, it happened in the Lions game today too. There should have been a holding call on where Hutchinson got held trying to go after the quarterback, and it was obvious, and they didn't throw a flag. I mean, refs don't love. It's pretty rare for them to throw a flag. Obviously, we saw a pretty big flag in the Super Bowl last year, but for the most part, they don't like throwing a flag at the end of the game, which is why guys can get away with stuff usually on the last play. And you could point to probably 5 examples of Denver probably holding or pass interference throughout the game that weren't called either. So I hate the people that are like, they hold it down to that one call or whatever. But a fluky game for sure. And then, the league as a whole, I mean, this was an insane day of football if you think about it.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, this was, especially for the gamblers out there. I mean, I feel like gamblers
keep mentioning it.
I feel like gamblers got smoked in a lot of these bets from this weekend because it was like teams that really had no business. I mean, dude, the fact that the Chargers are 0-2 now, that's a surprise. They lost in overtime. You had the Ravens and Bengals game. The Bengals are 0-2 now. That was not anticipated.
That wasn't.
Falcons sneaking away to beat the Packers, and they're 2-0 to start the year. I mean, there's some, the Lions and Seahawks game that went into overtime. I'm not going to talk about it. So there was, and then the Giants, a horrible offense went 6 full quarters without putting any points,
Unreal.
and then suddenly they put up 31 in the second half. Where did that come from? It was just crazy. And then the game last night. I mean, Dolphins and Pats. That was a pretty wild game. So yeah, it was to go from week 1, which was pretty much chalk. I mean, most of the favorites won. It was a pretty easy to bet and predict week 1. Week 2, all over the place. Yeah, it was insane.
Well, let me take you through this bet sweat that I had. So, Jess, especially now that we have red zone and stuff like that, she's all in the sweats.
Good.
So, right now, last night was funny because she looked at me and she was like, because we had a sweat in, and I'm gonna take you through it in a second. And basically, it lost, and we were like literally like, basically biting our fingernails because it was so bad, and it was such a bad beat. Anyways, so we ended up putting 2 sweats in for the Sunday night game, which was to pay out 240. Almost hit both of those, so it just screwed us. But so I got Pakua Nwuka or whatever his name is. The guy in the Rams or Nwuka, Nakua, something I don't know whatever.
Yeah.
So that guy having over 4.5 catches, he had like 9. That's like the easiest bet to have now because he had like 16 in the first game. So that one hit. Then I had Darren Waller getting over 4.5 catches.
Yeah, he's
bingo,
on my fantasy
bango,
team.
bongo.
Love that.
Got him. Then we had the over alternate, by the way, over 42.5 for the Dallas Jets game.
That's a big one. That's a big line there. Yeah.
It was 38.5, dude. 30. So I ended up doing an alternate because I was like, I'm always like, so I don't really like them that much. But then all of a sudden, that one, the Cowboys scored a touchdown, but it got called back. And DraftKings already updated it. It had that big red like line saying like, no, it's like, you didn't get it. So I was so pissed off. I was like, God damn it. So then all of a sudden, they ended up getting a call back, and we were sweating because they ended up scoring 40 total. I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, we watched the last quarter and a half of the Commanders game, and Jahan Dotson didn't catch a single ball. And we had 3.5 over 3.5, and he had 3 catches. And that would have paid out like 280 or something.
That's brutal.
Oh, dude, I got so horrid yesterday, and it was such a buzzkill. So
and he had 5 targets on the day too.
Well, you know what's funny is that I don't know if one of the targets counted, but one of them he caught, and they got a holding penalty on Sam Cosmi, his second one of like the quarter. So I was like, oh, dude, it was such a buzzkill. But hey, tonight 2 games as we record this, 2 games. I already put my first sweat in. Gonna put the second sweat in for the Steel City.
Okay. I mean, we'll see what happens. They sure didn't look good week 1, so we'll see. We'll see what they look like week 2. But I feel like it's a good night to do some props and things like that for them. But yeah, crazy week in NFL, and that does kind of take us into our.
Woo! Hey,
by the way,
does it start next week, right?
Next week.
Nice. I'm back on the horse.
Wednesday
Dude, I'm
nights.
getting back on the horse.
You should join me. I mean, Abby and I we're watching like season 10 right now. We're going back. We're so ready for Survivor.
Did you watch the one I told you, which was like I think season like 3 or something like that?
Well, we're watching season 10 right now. So I know I'm not going back and watching season 3 right now. I'm watching season 10 right now.
I think it was Ethan.
My boy Tom and Steph, who later were on Heroes versus Villains. But yeah, Survivor next week. We'll just break down the Survivor episode of the podcast. That's what we'll do. Can't wait for my boy Jeff Probst. It is our 6-pack Survivor challenge. So I, of course, my Vikings pick already was failed week 1 because the Vikings failed week 1. So as we discussed on this show, what we'll do with that is we will you can buy back in with another 6-pack. So now we're at 12 for me. Mike's still alive with his. So we obviously didn't do a show last week, but we did still put in our picks. I had the Dolphins. Of course, they squeaked that one out. And you had the Giants this week.
Si, senor.
Yes, and so which also
Grandes.
That was also not looking great for a little bit there, and then they just exploded with offense. Yeah. So this week I'm going to go a little chalk, and to make sure I stay in here, I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think I can't even remember who they're playing, but yeah, I feel like
I'll find out.
It is the Chiefs and the Bears. Oh yeah, right. So yeah, I think that's going to be an easy win there. Stay alive. Don't get too fancy.
The Bears suck, man.
Yeah. No,
I'm honestly wondering about John Z's health.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's got to be pulling his hair out. You've got an interesting one here because you have. Well, I'll let you reveal who you have.
So I have the Jacksonville Jaguars at home against Houston. Houston is just pitiful. Not gonna lie, I did want to pick Indy over Houston this past week. I was going to, but I was always kind of wondering about Anthony Richardson's health because Houston's just pitiful. But at the same time,
Good to worry about his health because he gets hurt in the game, of course.
yeah, and he gets concussion. So that's the problem, is that I was going to take him, but then all of a sudden, I decided not to. And I probably should have, because the Giants, almost like you said, they had to score 31 points in the damn second half. So I do have the Jags over Houston. One of my bigger hitters going early. I could take someone like maybe New England, but I don't know if Mac Jones against that defense in New York is going to do anything. Miami over Denver, or maybe the thing about it is that some of these teams right now really haven't proven crap to us.
Right.
So the point is, you got to take someone that's, going to give you a really good chance. And right now I think they're favored by 7.5. So I'll take the, I was going to say it in Spanish, but I don't know how to say Jaguars. The Gatos.
The Gatos.
Cats.
And CJ Stroud threw the ball 47 times in that game against Indy. He was 30 for 47, 384 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a loss. That might be worth looking at some of the props with him and yards. Yep. I mean, if Houston's just going to throw the ball a billion times, that might be, because what did he do in the Ravens game from a passing standpoint? Because right now he has 626 yards on the season. So, might have to start looking at those C.J. Stroud passing yard props, I will say. Because, he's off to a historic start, according to NBC Sports. Through his first 2 starts, second overall pick has completed 58 passes. That's the second most in NFL history for quarterbacks in his first 2 starts, beating Justin Herbert.
Well, hey, talking about passing props, I actually kind of like that, because last night for Tua, we ended up doing completions because we knew he was going to be slinging it all over the yard.
Right.
And we did completions, and we did over 22.5 or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think honestly he only had 22, but that's because they were running the ball and different stuff like that in the fourth quarter, because they were up by 17 or whatever. So which I thought it was gonna be a little bit closer game than that. But at the same time, I like completions. I like passing attempts too. Those are always fun.
That's a good one too. Yeah, this is this is an all gambling show pretty much now, because now we're gonna get into the money line sponsored by DraftKings. All right, so our picks of the week. So
wait.
Yeah.
Do we give the update to the fans from last season?
The update of what?
Of the exchange of dinero.
Oh, that we finally got paid by DraftKings? Yeah, it took freaking 15 months or something to finally get. Yes, our sponsor of DraftKings, who actually did finally become a sponsor because they finally paid us. So good for them. Good for them. Yes, we'll get into our picks of the week here. Our locks and our dogs. So a couple weeks ago, we gave some picks, but those were freebies. We weren't really counting those towards the record. The funny thing, of course, I went 2-0 on those. Of course,
I don't even know what I went. To be honest with you,
it doesn't matter. They don't count. So, all right, I will start with my lock. So we're talking about Denver and how bad they've been looking. Yeah. And meanwhile, on the other side of the coin, you got Dolphins, who've been pretty solid here. Dolphins -6.5. It's a bigger spread than I would like. I would maybe. I'll just go with it. Yeah, Dolphins -6.5 against the Broncos again, and that's at home for the Dolphins too. So I like that one there. I like the Dolphins winning by a touchdown. Broncos have just kind of been a disaster. Dolphins are humming. And then my dog here, college football. I like Rutgers covering 23.5 against Michigan. Keep in mind, Rutgers 3-0. They just beat Tech. They beat Northwestern this year already. They're beating some of these teams handily. I mean, by double digits. So obviously, I don't think they're going to beat the number 2 team in the country, Michigan. But I do like them, and the way Rutgers likes to play football, I kind of like them covering. I mean, this is over 3 touchdowns. I feel like they got to be able to cover that. And I like big spreads already. Mike knows that. I usually like when. Usually I'm betting when it goes in the 30s. When I see a spread in the 30s, that's when I start licking my lips, because I go, that's juicy. Because a lot of these teams, they'll go up 3 touchdowns and then they'll just kind of put it on cruise control the rest of the game. That's when the iron strikes for sure.
Well, look at a team like Ohio State. They've kind of not covered those big spreads and all that kind of stuff. This year's kind of odd though. This year's kind of odd because overall, a lot of these teams aren't covering the ginormous spreads.
Nobody's dominating this year. I mean, the hot pick right now is Florida State. People like Florida State. People like Texas. Those are the hot teams that people are looking at. But even those teams, like I don't know if I believe in them as a true number one. I mean, Georgia hasn't looked that great, or as good as you'd think. Bama, of course, same thing. So like I don't know if there's like a clear cut number one team in college football right now. So that's going to be interesting to see, to watch with some of these spreads. I think like that's something to keep in mind for the gamblers out there. It's like, hey, these teams aren't blowing teams out like they maybe would in years past.
No doubt about it. Looking at my picks of the week, my lock, Florida State at Clemson. 2 is the spread for Florida State. I will take that because Clemson's not even ranked. And also, Clemson just right. I mean, think about it. The last like 5 years since Trevor Lawrence left, they've been so overrating their quarterbacks just because, it's Dabo Sweeney and they've had, Taj Boyd and Trevor Lawrence and like all these guys that went through there who are pretty damn good quarterbacks. And then all of a sudden you see that DJ, Youngalele or whatever his name is,
playing.
It was still playing and on the West Coast now at Oregon State. Yeah. And then all of a sudden now you're seeing this new guy, which I don't even know what the hell his name is at Clemson.
Klubnik.
And they got their ass handed to them by Duke. So you're looking at it and saying, how is this spread only 2? I just don't get that, especially for the top 5 team in the nation. Right. I don't know about all that. So that's my lock is Florida State -2 at Clemson, and my dog, I'm going to take the Rams. I'm going to take Matty Ice at the Bengals. The Bengals just aren't really looking too great this year. Obviously, both teams are kind of in desperation mode, if you ask me, early on in this season. And honestly, I just got a little excited because I took Napuka Kawua, or whatever his name is, Puka Kaluka. I don't even know what his name is. I don't know.
Pronouncing DJ's name and his last name, and then the name you would love is the Lions lineman that got hurt. It's like Halapuli Violaitai.
Violaitai or whatever.
Yeah. The former Raven, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a mixed drink, which I'm gonna have.
Yeah,
soon.
It's tough. Those those Hawaiian players get in the league, you're just like, I got no shot.
Yeah. Just like you just mention their initials.
An announcer's nightmare. No, I like the Rams pick. Yeah, the Clemson line, it's strange because Clemson is coming off a couple wins, but they were beating like Florida Atlantic and Charleston Southern. Like, you're beating like not that great of teams, and then you only put up 7 against Duke. Duke is a good team, obviously, but still. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why this line is so low. It's kind of surprising.
It's very odd. I don't know if there's an injury or what, but those are my picks.
Yeah, well, I do think Florida State at the end of the day is going to be overrated. I think they're definitely going to beat Clemson here, so I think you should be good there. Let's do a little trivia time here. Let me hit the music. Is that the right music? We'll just make it the right music.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think it is.
Is it?
All
I don't know.
Maybe
I forgot.
I don't remember. It's Mike's Trivia Corner as we give the fans and myself a little sports trivia. You know what's funny?
What is funny?
So I play that Daily Dozen Trivia, which is the one that Barstool does where you just go to dailydozentrivia.com. You play it on your phone. It's like got 9 squares. In fact, I haven't even played it. Well, we'll do your question and then we can play it together if you want.
I would like to.
But anyways,
no idea what it is.
One of the questions was the movie that you had your question about.
The Replacements.
The Replacements was a question on Daily Dozen like a week or 2 later. And
nice.
I was like, Mike and I were just talking about this movie.
I love that movie.
It was great. It was great.
Yeah, the guy, he's Keanu Reeves, cleaning the barnacles.
Yeah, we'll play Daily Dozen after we'll do Mike's Trivia Corner first, and then
I'm all in.
Yeah.
So here we go.
All right.
The DC trivia question of the week.
Play along at home.
As Santana just has that sweet blues in the background.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Santana or not, but
it's not. It's but it sounds like him. I agree.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Who served as the Redskins defensive coordinator for 1 season before leaving in 2003 to accept the head coaching position in Cincinnati?
I mean, I have 0 shot at this. This one's for the fans at home.
Just think.
Dude, I don't know coordinators.
No. Don't even think about the coordinator. Think about the last part of that question.
Yeah, he went to Cincinnati.
Okay.
I got no shot. Shot. I'm telling you right now. I have no shot.
You just cut off Santana's mic?
Yeah, cut off his mic. Cincinnati, the college football team?
No. The Bengals.
Oh, so he went to the Bengals. Was it that...
No, he was not Hawaiian.
No. The only Bengals coach I remember was it like Hugh something or am I thinking of the right guy?
No, it wasn't Hugh.
Oh,
Oh, you're talking about Hugh Jackson?
maybe. Is the guy black?
Yes.
Okay. Is it the guy who was the coach for the Bengals for like a while?
Could be, yes.
I just can't pull his name.
Okay, it is Marvin Lewis.
Okay, Marvin Lewis. Okay.
Okay.
I wasn't thinking Marvin Lewis.
No one cares.
But didn't Jackson coach at Cincinnati for a while?
No, I don't think he was. I think that he was at Cleveland. So
Oh, was I mixing up? I mean, again, look.
I think so.
Okay, I'm going to Cincinnati Bengals head coach history. Yeah. No, you're right. I was definitely thinking of Marvin Lewis. I don't know why I couldn't pull Marvin Lewis's name. But
whatever.
Yeah,
Who cares? Honestly, at this point, who cares?
All right,
Marvin Lewis is long gone.
Let's play the Daily Dozen trivia. Okay, so I have not done this yet today, so we're doing this for the first time. So it's basically there's 9 spots here of different categories.
Okay.
And so there's some sports, there's some pop culture.
Hit me with your best shot.
All right,
Pat
we'll
Benatar.
start with NFL. And we'll do this together.
Let's go.
Drafted out of Miami in Florida, not Miami, Ohio. What Giants tight end made 4 Pro Bowls from 2002 to 2007 before ending his career with stints in New Orleans and Carolina? Is that Shockey?
Yes, Jeremy Shockey.
Yeah, okay. Jeremy Shockey. 1 for 1. We got to go 9 for 9 here. NBA. Future All-Stars Andrew Wiggins and Zach LaVine made NBA All-Rookie teams during the 2014-2015 season while playing as teammates for what Western Conference team? That would be the T-Wolves, I believe.
Is that Zach LaVine?
Yeah, Zach LaVine and Andrew Wiggins.
They got drafted by them. Yes.
Yeah. All right, 2 for 2. MLB. Bartolo Colon pitched for 11 different franchises during his MLB career, but won the 2005 AL Cy Young after winning 21 games for what AL West franchise?
AL West. Okay, let's think about the AL West.
All right.
So you have the Angels. No,
Yep.
the Angels.
Yeah, Angels, A's,
The Mariners.
Mariners.
Angels, A's, Mariners, and the
Why are we blanking on this?
not the Giants,
No.
and not the Dodgers.
Oh,
not the
Rangers.
Padres. Rangers. Okay, so it wasn't the Rangers. He never played for the
No.
Rangers, I believe.
No.
I think it's the Angels, but he didn't play for the Mariners.
You're right. I think it's either the A's or Angels. I think it's between those two. But I can't picture him in an A's uniform.
Yeah,
I feel like Angels is the right move here.
Angels.
Yes, we're 3 for 3. All right. Next up, chain restaurants. Big boys.
That was a little creepy laugh.
Since 2020, Travis Scott, BTS, and Saweetie are among the musical acts that have
McDonald's.
partnered with. Yeah, this is. I mean,
Yes.
this is child's play. What are we
Yeah,
doing?
yeah. What is that?
here?
BTS.
Geography. Brussels is the capital of what European nation?
Brussels.
Is it Belgium?
It's not Germany.
No.
It could be Belgium. Brussels.
It came to mind immediately for me. But the
You know
problem
what?
is I don't know if it's do we pull the trigger on Belgium?
Can we go to a different question?
Yeah, we can go to a different question.
Go to skip
Yeah, we'll
it,
come back to it. The celebrity mashup is going to be tough for you to see, but I know it. So it's funny. So they do a celebrity mashup.
Yeah.
So this
that's,
is Jason Segel and Sydney Sweeney, I believe. Hold on, let me. Jason Segel.
Oh, you have to type it in?
Yeah. And Sydney Sweeney. Yes. All right. We're 5 for 5. All right. Now we go to pop culture here. We get television.
Okay.
Okay. I already know the answer, but I'll read it to you. Terry Hatcher, Felicity Huffman, Marsha Cross, and Eva Longoria starred in this ABC comedy drama mystery series that dominated ratings, running for 8 seasons.
Desperate
2004.
Housewives.
Yes. Good pull. Yep. That's it.
Thank you.
All right. Hey,
Dude, this has to be, you know what? We're going to do this every episode.
we're 6 for 6 right now. Movies. The third installment of the Hugh Jackman Wolverine trilogy, this 2017 film following an older Wolverine grossed
Logan.
over. Yep, it's definitely Logan. All right. Music. What rapper had a breakout year with 3 top 10 hits on the Billboard Hot 100 in 2015, including Trap Queen, 679, and My Way? That would be Fetty Wap, right?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
One-eyed Fetty Wap. I shouldn't say one eye because maybe he doesn't have one eye.
No, he has like a weird eye thing.
Something's going on up there. I don't know
all
what
right,
it is.
all right. We're 8 for 8. We have one more to go. It's the Brussels one. All right, this is where we get in trouble here because Brussels is the capital of what European nation? It's like I don't know. I can't think of anything else that it could be. That's the problem.
Obviously, it's not Germany.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you said that. So Belgium was my initial take, but let's think for a second because we need to go 9 for 9 here.
Okay.
So I'm looking at a map here. It's not like Denmark or like it's not.
He's not literally looking at a map, people.
Yeah, no, I don't.
His head.
It's not like it's not like a Norway or
it's not
Finland.
Spain, France.
Yeah, it's not Spain or France.
Brussels.
Nothing in the UK.
I'm trying to think of I'm trying to say Brussels and have something else like slip out.
Brussels.
Where it's like,
well, who was the muscles from Brussels? Wasn't that one of those famous actors from like the action movies, like a Jean-Claude Van Damme or like one of those types of guys? I feel like somebody like that had a nickname, the muscles from Brussels.
But what's the capital of Germany then? Luxembourg?
No, that's its own country. The capital of Germany is like Berlin or something, right? Like it's
okay.
Not. Yeah, it's not. No, dude, I'm telling you, I think it's Belgium.
Well, now I'm thinking it's Brussels, Germany, even though
it's not Germany. I'm going with Belgium. 9 for 9.
Money. All right. Hey, keep track of this. Keep
money in the bank. Money in the bank. And so it tells you the accurate. So 82,000 people have done this today. 8,000 have been perfect. And it tells you the percentage accuracy. So like everyone was pretty. Oh, you weren't going to be able to see. But the MLB question, only 51% of people got that right. So nice. we got that. The celebrity mashup, only 44% people got that right. I had that immediately. Geography, 77 people got that right. So I guess they're just a little smarter than us.
Okay,
Movies, how could only 62% get that Logan question right? That's been like the only Wolverine movie in the last like 10 years or whatever. So like who could get that wrong?
I don't know. I mean, the first, because this one says like depicting an older Wolverine, which none of them is old.
Yeah, that's literally the main plot of the movie is here's a freaking old Wolverine. Music, 72%. That was easy. Chain restaurant, 85% people got that. I mean, and then the NBA, 80% got that one. So yeah, we're right there with like 8,700 people out of 82,000. So
now I think we should keep track of our records throughout. Perfects. Yeah, and I think we just do this. I mean, we can do the trivia question.
So they release these every day, by the way.
Is it on the app? Like, what is it?
You just have to go. Like, you just go in your phone to dailydozentrivia.com. It takes you right there. Yeah,
dailydozentrivia.com. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll have you remind me about that.
Yeah. No, I do it every day. It's I've had some perfect days. Sometimes the sports ones are hard for sure.
What can we name it? So we call it the Daily Dozen, the DC Daily Dozen.
Sure. Well, there you go.
I don't know. That might not even work. We should try to get Barstool. Dave Portnoy probably will say, "Who the hell are you?" Like,
yeah, I don't care.
We'll be like one of those guys, dude. I like what was the pizza place that he where he was reviewing, and the old man goes, "I fought a wars for you. I fought a wars."
No, that's a classic like top 5 pizza review of all time. Because like a million different weird things happen in that video, and it's so funny. Like one guy like pulls his back muscles, he's walking by.
This guy's got blood coming out of his nose.
Yeah.
Like get a napkin.
Yeah. No, that's a great one. That's a classic one. But yeah, no, well done. We did 9 for 9. I mean, I was very nervous about Brussels, Belgium, but who was? I mean, before we end the show, I got to know who the muscles from Brussels was. The muscles. It was Jean-Claude Van Damme. Okay, yeah.
Oh wow, that was a good pull. That was a good pull for you.
Okay. Whew. Got that one. All right.
What we need to do is, like I said, we need to keep track of this. So
yeah, I took a screenshot of our score. So
1 for 1, 1 for 1 on the 9 for 9. So we have to keep track on our Google Doc of like we should do is the DC trivia for the fans at home, and then they can follow along with our spontaneity with the DC double dip or whatever it's called.
Yeah, whatever that means.
Double trouble, whatever trivia it is.
Yeah.
So
hey, we did it. We did it. We 9 for 9. That's big. I mean, that was a good showing from us, I think.
Pretty easy too. Pretty quick.
Yeah, I would say that one was one of the easier ones. Dude, I've gotten somewhere like one of the questions last week was like this Grateful Dead keyboardist died in 1979 or something. I was like, I don't freaking know unless I like followed the band closely. It's like, how am I supposed to know that?
I don't even know. I don't even know half the members of my favorite band's names.
Right? Yeah. No, it was a stupid question. All right. Well, we did it. We made it. We nailed it.
We did it.
We will be back.
Who sings the song? That was it.
John
was it?
Z.
No, was it Dora? That like was it with Boots? Who was like, "We did it, yeah." Okay,
yeah, Dora the Explorer for sure.
Making sure.
Oh yeah, don't test me on cartoons at this point.
Spanish cartoons.
What you should just watch is there's this series on YouTube called Helper Cars, where it's these like trucks and they go around like solving problems and stuff. Like there's like some like forest catches on fire and they all come and like save it. We're learning a lot. We're learning. Your boy's learning a lot about these different trucks.
Hey, Southern Charm is back.
Southern Charm is back. And Survivor's back next week. Next Wednesday night, we'll be talking Survivor. We'll be talking Daily Dozen. We don't even need to do sports on this show.
When's Survivor back? This week?
No, next Wednesday.
Okay, so two eps from now, we're going to do our Survivor recap.
Can't wait. Season 45.
Our 6-minute Survivor recap. That's what it is. 6 Survivor... I'm trying to alliterate here, but it's not working.
Yeah, we could do 6-minute Survivor recap. That works. Yeah. John Z, take us out. I'm so sorry your Bears suck. So sorry, buddy. Don't go near any tall buildings, John. We'll see you next week.